What is up, guys? Jack Gardiner here. Hope you enjoyed that little bit of playing at the beginning there. Today is super exciting. We are checking out the brand new Archetype Tom Morello from Neural DSP. I think this is an awesome move from both parties. Tom Morello, guitar player for Rage Against the Machine, Audio Slave, tons of other things as well. He's just an absolute star in the guitar world, very famous for his kind of pitch shifting tones and creative tones. I think it's really awesome. I was a massive fan of Tom Morello growing up. Rage Against the Machine and Audio Slave were huge influences on me when I was very young. So I'm really excited to check out some of the tones that we've got here. We're going to be checking out 5 presets, and I'm also going to walk you through the plugin interface itself. So why don't we do that first? When you first open up this plugin, we can see it's a British amp, which Tom's famous for using, that has probably been modded to death. But it looks super stylish. The UI on all of the Neural plugins is always really, really cool. So, I want to just quickly play for you what this sounds like when you first open it up, just so that we can check it out. It's filthy. Really, really cool. Definitely a British sound, I might point out. So essentially, we have lots of different windows up at the top here, and they have all the individual components that you can use within this plugin. So we have the dive bomb, which is a very typical Tom Morello sound. Let's check that out. So essentially what this is doing is it's diving the pitch either up or down, and you can control it with the foot pedal. You could use MIDI controller if you wanted to here, but essentially this is what it sounds like. That's when it sets it up. If we go down, almost sounds like some kind of video game effect. And of course you can control that with the foot pedal here. If you wanted to assign MIDI to it, that would work with an expression pedal. Then if we move on, then that's the amp tab. We've already seen that. Now, essentially it's just one amp with this one, but that's what Tom is famous for, this kind of British sound. Then we have the whammy pedal and the wah pedal. Now, the whammy pedal is what's going to be probably the most interesting for most of you out there. And essentially, like a typical whammy pedal, you can choose how much. There's a range of 2 octaves either way. Let's just check out what that sounds like here. So if I was to go, the typical, can I control it with one hand? Let's see. This kind of sound. And then of course there is a wah over on the other side. So you've got the typical. So moving on the next tab, we actually have a delay. There are 2 delays in this one, but this one gives you a bit of kind of like the post-rock sound. So you've got that. This kind of thing. We've got an equalizer, so if you really want to dig in to some EQ, that's via the pedal. Then we've got a phaser as well, and the speed on this varies dramatically, so kind of Audio Slave type sounds if you want there. Moving on to the next tab, we have the cab section, and this is very similar to all of the Neural DSP plugins. You have multiple options in terms of mics. They're all the typical ones, ribbon mics, dynamic mics, condensers, etc. You can have 2 mics loaded up. You can control the whole thing by just moving with the mouse here, click and drag, same over there. And then on the last 2 sections then, so we've got another EQ. This is in all of the Neural DSP plugins as well, so for further tone shaping. And then finally we have our delay and reverb. This one involves like a dual delay type if you want, and there is a really nice reverb here. But what I think we should do then is walk through my presets. I should point out as well, there are things like the doubler in there. There's a transpose button, which has been in a couple of the plugins, things like the Petrucci as well. You have a tuner, and then of course you have all of the MIDI mappings there. And that about sums it up for the interface. Really sleek, typical Neural DSP. So if we move on then, let's take a look at my first preset. I've called this 80s Lush Clean. Let's check this out. Works really well as kind of like a pad, you know, if you wanted to create some soundscape stuff. I've got a load of reverb on that, and this is kind of the cleanest that this amp gets. I spent a long time trying to dial this in. There's maybe some things I might change with the EQ a little bit in post, but I think that's lush if you want to add some textures to your sounds, you know. Works well with single lines as well. Really, really cool. Let's move on to the next preset then. I've called this E-flat SHREDZ, and essentially it's the amp cranked, and I've transposed down to E-flat. This really works well with kind of a Strat or a single coil sound. You can get really nice and filthy with this. None of the other effects are engaged, but check out this. Something about a Strat in E-flat that just sounds really, really cool. Let's check out this a bit more, maybe. One thing I must point out is that the tracking is so good. I mean, here in the room, I can obviously hear the acoustic noise of the strings, which can be a little bit off-putting, but I can hear that all of those notes are really well tracked, even when I play chords. Tried some Hendrix. Absolutely love it. I could play with it all day. Anyway, let's move on then. Let's check out something else. So this is JG lead, I've called this, and this is just a cool lead tone that I found, very British, very typical. This is not transposed down, and I have quite a lot of delay and reverb. Let's check it out. Really nice and very easy to play. Next one is another kind of lead type sound, but it's low gain, and I've called this Use Your Dynamics. By that, what I mean is I want to really control my pick attack, and of course I can play with the volume knob. So let's check out a bit of this sound. Really fun to play with and very different from the previous patch, which is more like a modern kind of lead sound. Okay, let's move on then. So this, I think, is this the last patch? Yes, this is the synth solo sound, and it's what you heard in that little mini track at the beginning there. What I'm doing is using the whammy pedal up. I've got the amp kind of mid-gain, I'd say. And then in terms of effects, there is a lot of delay and a lot of reverb. So let's check out this. What I love about this sound is that I get some of these like pitches coming down towards the note. Something that we often can't achieve with a fretted instrument, but this kind of emulates that, and that's what I love about this as a synth solo sound. Works even with chords. Sometimes that's a little bit harder for it to process, but it's still great. Even when I'm playing a bit faster there, this is tracking really well. Really, really fun and cool to play with. And it just adds textures really as well. You could put that somewhere behind in the mix, and if you're not necessarily a keyboard player, you can fake it using this kind of sound. So there we have it. There are my 5 free presets for the Archetype Tom Morello. What did you think of these tones? I have lots of fun with the creative aspects of this plugin, especially with that whammy pedal. And then, of course, you've got all the kind of dive bomb features, the phaser, things like that, if you want to get into more kind of 90s rock sounds. What do you guys think? Let me know down below in the comments. Is this one that you're going to check out? Don't forget, you can get a 14-day free trial on all of the Neural plugins. So before you buy, you can try it out for yourself in those 2 weeks and see what you think and if it works for you. So, I love this plugin. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Cheers.